Nicolas Jackson is coming back to Chelsea for pre-season. Xabi Alonso is willing to give him a shot and see if he can reintegrate him into the team. Stories have been awash with soon-to-be free agent Ibrahima Konate, who was leaving Liverpool at the end of the season without signing a new deal, but Kieran Gill has poured cold water on that, saying that Chelsea are not interested at all as of right now. Romeo Lavia might have found a new home, with Monaco supposedly preparing a £25 million bid for the creative deep-lying midfielder, and we've got our first official look at the new kit for the 26-27 season. It's the same as the leaked one from the other day, and I still don't like it. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, largely, that means we're going to talk about Nicolas Jackson, but we've got some other stuff to get into as well. So let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Heist posted this. Breaking: Chelsea intend to give Jackson a chance to impress in pre-season under Alonso and is still highly rated internally. If an offer too good to turn down suddenly arrives, an exit can't be ruled out, but this is the current intention. That was reposted via Kieran Gill of the Daily Mail. So I'm game. Like straight out of the gate, I would think bringing Nicolas Jackson back is a good idea. I think it would cost a lot of money to replace what we know to be Nicolas Jackson's potential output in the Premier League. He wasn't perfect, and but he was still young. He's been away in another country with another team for another season. Things are a little bit different now. I just think it makes loads of sense. Like, Nicolas Jackson. So I know a lot of Chelsea fans are, and I see it in my comments every single day. A lot of you guys are saying we need to go out and get a world-class number 9. A lot of you want to see Osimhen. Some of you want to see Julian Alvarez. Some of you want to see an absolute baller that's just going to come and put 20 away. The way I see it, João Pedro is our undisputed first-choice striker now. I think he had such a phenomenal season. 18 goals in all competitions, loads of assists as well, really, really good. Emmanuel Omega is coming in next season, and with Nicolas Jackson adding to that pot as well, I personally would be happy with those three leading our strike force. João Pedro is the undisputed number 1. Nicolas Jackson able to play left wing and striker to rotate, and Emmanuel Omega snipping at the heels trying to get opportunities. It just makes sense to me. It just makes sense. We would have to go out and spend so much money to get a player of Jackson's proposed quality. In terms of, and look, when he was first choice and getting every single game all of the time, in his first season, he scored 14 goals in the Premier League, and that was at the age of 21, 22. He was so young at the time. He'd only recently been transitioned into a striker from being a left winger as well, and that was an amazing output. His output definitely diminished the next season, but also he was out injured for a lot of that season, so he probably could have matched that had he been able to play for the entire season. And yeah, it just makes sense. It's like he's versatile, he's got an eye for goal, he has a good link up with Cole Palmer, for instance, and we're going to get onto the reasons why he left in a minute, but I definitely think most Chelsea fans would love to have seen Jackson as an option at the striker this season, or even as an option on the left wing over the likes of what we've got at the moment. So more on the story. Pice also posted this via Kieran Gill of the Daily Mail. Sources have said Jackson is also prepared to stay at Chelsea as long as he gets his fair share of playing time. I don't love that, because I don't love it when players are demanding playing time, but he's not saying guaranteed first team minutes, he's just saying fair share of playing time. We'll get into that more in a minute. Jackson can also play on the wing. The primary reason he joined Bayern Munich was because of his relationship with Enzo Maresca. Alonso and the sporting leadership team will make the final decisions on strikers. So, first thing, Jackson can play on the left wing. Now, when we consider like I say, we are going to go out and have to spend money on lots of positions. Centre-backs, definitely. I would much rather we buy 2 centre-backs rather than get another striker when Nicolas Jackson's potentially available. Also, the left wing thing maybe becomes a bit less of a problem if Jackson plays well on the left wing, and we'll find this out in pre-season, because look at who he's got to compete with at the moment. Liam Delap, 2 goals. Mark Gue, I don't even think he scored in the Premier League. Did he score for us this season at all? Maybe once, I'm not 100% sure. That's your striker options at the moment. Obviously, Omega coming in, who I also think is better than both of those options. And then we go over to the left wing, and we've got Alejandro Garnacho. Would I rather see Nicolas Jackson there than Alejandro Garnacho? Yes, I would. Jamie Gittins, I'd rather see Nicolas Jackson there as well. And obviously Max Derry, but he's still very young and will get rotational opportunities. So compared to, we want to upgrade these positions, these backup depth positions of striker and left wing. Nicolas Jackson is there. Now, the left wing thing is a bit more of an unknown quantity. Although he did play at left wing at Villarreal before he came to Chelsea, we bought him off the back of him being converted into a striker. But just from the eye test of seeing Nicolas Jackson play up top and drift out wide all of the time, he seems like a really natural fit on that left wing. I always remember thinking, oh, he actually seems really good on the left wing. I find it interesting that we haven't tried him there at all. Pochettino didn't try him there. Maresca didn't try him there. Always played as a striker, but that was largely down to the fact that for those 2 seasons, we didn't have any good options to compete with him at striker, which is another thing I thought was crazy. Young players need competition to help them develop. I feel like we might be seeing the same thing with Cole Palmer right now, albeit there's the injury stuff as well, but Cole Palmer's not being pushed by anyone. Do you know what I mean? Cole Palmer's not being pushed by anyone because there's no one there actually competing for his spot. It was the same with Nicolas Jackson when we had Nicolas Jackson. Like, he could go through 3 games, 4 games without scoring or assisting, and it wouldn't matter, and because he's still the best option we had because he was the only option we had. So the permutation is different now, because you don't bring Nicolas Jackson in to be your undisputed striker again. You bring Nicolas Jackson in knowing that João Pedro is your main man and he is on good form and has ended the season really, really well. You also bring Nicolas Jackson in knowing that Emmanuel Omega is also coming in, who's quite a similar player to him, and he will have Emmanuel Omega snipping at his heels as well. But also, he will be able to get game time on that left wing if Alonso likes him over there. So for me, it just makes sense. I think it's a really, really good idea. The Maresca thing seemed to be the issue. Like, Jackson definitely tailed off towards the end of that Maresca season. There was the red card in the Newcastle game that was so important. And then he obviously got a red card in the Club World Cup as well. And then we didn't see him again. And then the whole Bayern Munich thing happened. He was on the plane and what was it? Planes can't turn around or whatever it was. And, you know, we needed Jackson back because Liam Delap had just got injured and it was all a whole thing, wasn't it? It was all just an absolute whole thing. But ultimately, he obviously desperately didn't want to come back and be in that changing room because he didn't like Enzo Maresca. Xabi Alonso seems to be a very different type of character, and hopefully Xabi Alonso can get the same, if not better, performances out of Nicolas Jackson than Maresca did and then Pochettino did as well. So Pice also posted this, which is just a quick roundup of Nicolas Jackson's goals and assists in his Premier League stint with Chelsea so far. 65 appearances over 2 seasons in all competitions, 24 goals, 10 assists for 34 GA in 65. He was making something happen in every 2 games, which for a backup or a winger would be great at the end of the day. And what we would have to hope is that Nicolas Jackson's mentality has developed as much as his playing ability. Now, his playing ability probably hasn't developed that much. Now, it'll be interesting because he's been being coached by another coach with some of the best players in the world at the end of the day. And if he's absorbed some of that and can bring that back to Chelsea, that's a really interesting proposition, isn't it? But that smashes Liam Delap. I'm pretty sure that is more in 2 seasons on his own than maybe we got from Liam Delap, Alejandro Garnacho, Jamie Gittins and Mark Gue combined in those 2 seasons. Or maybe that's pushing it, I'm not sure, but it's got to be close, isn't it? And yeah, but at the end of the day, it just makes sense to me. It just makes sense. And he's Premier League experience, like that's so important. It cost us so much money to go out and get another Nicolas Jackson, wouldn't it, at the end of the day? So for me, it's a no-brainer. Bring him back, give him the opportunity. Maybe it turns out that Xabi Alonso doesn't like him. Maybe Omega comes and absolutely hits the ground running. Or maybe João Pedro is absolutely immovable from that striker spot because he really takes off. Who knows? There's so many options. But I don't think any of us can argue that having Nicolas Jackson back makes our team better than it is at the moment. And it also allows us to put more emphasis on the positions that we really, really need to sort out, like centre-back and the right-back/right wing-back, depending on what formation we're going to play. We really need to spend some good money on those positions as well. So, like I say, to me, it all just makes sense. I think we probably could still look at a left-sided attacker as well, but it might be a case of we go more in for a Morgan Gibbs-White or a Morgan Rogers or an attacking number 10 role for someone to push Cole Palmer as well. It also means that you can use João Pedro in the number 10 or the half space, and you've still got an Omega or a Jackson. You know, there's still options there. Now, injuries is another thing as well. I think we've kind of done ourselves dirty since Bluco took over by not having 3 good strikers. Like I remember for a long time in the Roman period, it was always at least 3, wasn't it? And they were all of a you know, there was always like a first guy. I do remember one season we had Fernando Torres, Demba Ba and Loic Remy. And I would love to have had Demba Ba and Loic Remy as backups for last season. Do you know what I mean? At the time it felt a bit underwhelming, but being where we are now, having a Nicolas Jackson and an Emmanuel Omega supporting João Pedro, but also able to play in different positions. And, you know, like I say, there's permutations where Cole Palmer can play on the right half space, João Pedro can play at the left half space with Nicolas Jackson up top. Nicolas Jackson can drift out wide to the left, you know, and João Pedro can bomb on forward to play that striker role. Cole Palmer can float into the middle and they can play up top together with Nicolas Jackson covering the left. There's so many options for a really fluid attack with players like Omega, Jackson and João Pedro. I think it's a really good idea. Let me know what you think in the comments. And guys, it is my 1 year anniversary of being a YouTuber. It's the Stanford Sink's birthday today. So guys, if you are enjoying my content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honor of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. And yeah, if you could whack me a little happy birthday to Stanford Sink in my comments, that'd be absolutely sweet. I can't believe it's been a year. You lot have been fantastic. I'm loving it every single day, and we're growing so quickly, and all of you are to thank for it. So nice one. Let's keep it going. Right, next up, we're going to talk about Ibrahima Konate, because the news has been awash with stories about him leaving Liverpool on a free. Kieran Gill posted this story from Lewis Steele here confirming Konate is set to leave Liverpool when his contract expires in the summer. We'll add there has been no contact or indication of interest from Chelsea as of today. So this came out yesterday. The big news story of yesterday was Ibrahima Konate not signing a new deal at Liverpool, and he's going to leave at the end of the season. Now, the detail and the minutiae of why he's not signing a deal at Liverpool is the reason that we won't go in for him, despite him being a free transfer. Liverpool were in a better position than we are, and they don't necessarily have better defenders than him coming in either. They've got Jeremy Jacquet, a guy called Leone, I think it is. They're not instantly upgrading their defence with the guys that they've got in, because Konate is a really good player. Konate has been negotiating his new contract since December 2023. So that's 2.5 years that he's been trying to get a big bumper deal at Liverpool, and they keep saying no. And this is the same Liverpool that pay 400k to Salah, 400k to Van Dijk. Like, I'm not saying he's asking for 400k, but he's probably seen them being on 400k and being like, I at least want 300. They are happy, supposedly, that they have offered him a big deal, like a fair package, and he has said, no, that's not enough, I want more. The other stories in and around Ibrahima Konate at the moment are links to Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. So just as a player, the profile of the player that he is, yes, Ibrahima Konate is obviously an upgrade on Wesley Fofana. He's obviously an upgrade on Benoit Badiashile. He's obviously an upgrade on Tosin Adarabioyo. The profile of player fits, I think. He would probably, you know, upgrade our defence, 100% true. And on the face of it, you go, okay, well, it's a free transfer, so that makes complete sense because it doesn't cost the club any money. So the issue with that is, yes, it financially works for the club, but do you know who it doesn't work for? It doesn't work for the players that have all just taken a pay cut because we're not in the Champions League. So the model, I do believe that we're not going to bring in more Garnachos, Jamie Gittins, Romeo Lavias and Yoro Hatos, albeit Yoro Hato did turn out quite well. But I do think at least this season, we're going to stop buying as many young players as we can and hoping that one of them turns out well, which is basically what happens. We buy 3 or 4 young players, one of them turns out well, but then we're left with loads that aren't, and that's what our first team is full of. So I do expect that part of the model to change, but the part I do not expect to change is the wage structure and the contracts, right? Because I like the incentive-based contracts. Honestly, like, say what you want about Blueco, like, they've made loads of terrible decisions when it comes to bringing players in, but incentive-based contracts is a good idea because we don't get help. Like, look at the Raheem Sterling situation. We brought Raheem Sterling in, give him 300k a week, and end up cancelling his contract and paying out like £21 million, I think it was, in order to terminate Raheem Sterling's contract. He didn't play for us for years. He was awful for us towards the end of his time here. He went on loans to Arsenal. He was in the bomb squad. And all of that time, we were paying him 300k a week. I think Arsenal covered like 100k of his wages or something when he was there. And that's the kind of issue you can run into if you just give someone a massive wage. And if Ibrahima Konate comes in, we give him a massive wage and he turns out to be another Raheem Sterling, then we've got that same problem again. So I don't even hate the idea of the long contract is a bit weird, but the crazy wages, like coming in and working for your increase, which we've seen with Cole Palmer, Cole Palmer, Moises Caicedo, even Nicolas Jackson after his first season got a new deal and got a bumper pay because they performed well. They get pay bumps when we get into the Champions League and they get pay cuts when we're out of the Champions League.
For me, that is probably a good way for football to run in general. It's going to take a little while for everyone to get there because there are still the guys, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, the Liverpools, the cities and stuff that will just give their guys, massive wages. But where we are right now, we can't do that, because if you give Ibrahima Konate 300k a week, even if you got him on a free, which works financially for the club, Cole Palmer, Moises Caicedo, João Pedro don't look at Ibrahima Konate and go, yeah, no, I understand why he's on that, because he's coming in and it's good for the club. Like, they don't care about the club's finances. Do you know what I mean? None of the players care about the club's finances. They care about what they're getting paid. And you could put some of our players' noses out of joint and cause disharmony if you give Ibrahima Konate a massive wage to come in and play for us when we haven't got a Champions League, when everyone else has just got a pay cut. That is going to cause problems. So honestly, it says no indication of interest from Chelsea as of today. I don't expect there to be any, to be completely honest. I do not expect there to be. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich both pay massive wages. I think Bayern Munich might have the highest wage bill in Europe. I remember looking at it a little while ago. It's crazy. They pay their players a lot, man, like a real lot. And what we know about Real Madrid is they love a free transfer, don't they? Kylian Mbappe and Trent Alexander-Arnold, like, they love getting a guy on a free. Also, Konate had been linked to Real Madrid for a little while. Supposedly that cooled off because he didn't want to be disrespectful to Liverpool. But I'm not going to lie to you. If Jose Mourinho likes him, Real Madrid will snap him up because it's free transfer and they won't mind paying the big wages because it's easier for them to do that on the books. They're like always competing. They're always making money. They're always in the Champions League. Like, they've got big, massive revenue from their worldwide fans. Bayern Munich and Real Madrid can afford to do stuff like that. Chelsea, at the moment, not so much. So, guys, let me know what you think about Ibrahima Konate. I understand, just from the profile of player, I like him and I would be happy to see him come into the squad, but I do just think it's the financial ramifications of the reason he's leaving Liverpool is because they offered him what they deemed to be a good wage packet and he said no. Kind of like the situation we were in with Mason Mount, right? We offered Mason Mount 200k a week. He said, I want 300k. And they were like, no, you can't have that. And he was like, all right, then I'll go to Man United. And that's exactly what happened. I think this is the same sort of thing that's happening with Ibrahima Konate. They will have offered him a reasonable wage, but he's looking at Mo Salah and Van Dijk on 400k and being like, get me some of that. And we can't really be having players like that in the squad at the moment. So, from Ibrahima Konate to Romeo Lavia. Cy Phillips has been on this one. It's been reposted by Chelsea Hub on Twitter. AS Monaco are preparing a £25 million bid for Chelsea midfielder Romeo Lavia this summer as the squad reshuffle under Xabi Alonso continues. Chelsea are expected to sanction multiple departures in order to trim the squad and create room for new arrivals ahead of next season. The clear-out has already started behind the scenes. So, Romeo Lavia. Massive shame, huge shame, because I think he's brilliant. And technically as a footballer, he's so gifted. He's still really young, but he's never, ever played 90 minutes of football for Chelsea. That in 3 seasons, that is a damning stat, isn't it? That is a really damning stat. We got him at the same time that we got Moises Caicedo. That is wild to me, absolutely wild to me. It just feels, because we've barely seen him, he still feels like a new player, doesn't he, really? But we got him at the same time we got Moises Caicedo, and they've both been with us for like 3 seasons now. So yeah, because the Poch season, then Maresca's first season, and then now this absolute car crash of a season we've just been through. The issue I always thought with Romeo Lavia was it was going to be difficult to sell him, but this kind of situation, AS Monaco will take a risk, a gamble on 25 mil, which isn't a huge amount of money for them. The gamble is on the injury stuff, right? But if the gamble pays off, then they get an amazing player for really cheap. If it doesn't pay off, they've only paid 25 mil. So it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work out. It's a lot worse for us because we paid £60 million for him, which is obviously ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous amount of money. We've literally paid £60 million for a player to never finish 90 minutes for us. And that's such a shame because it's got nothing to do with the profile of the player. When he's fit, when he's available, he looks great. I think he really makes our midfield tick. I think he's a great partner for Moises Caicedo. We need more players like him in our deeper midfield, but not not like him in terms of like, you know, it's that old adage, isn't it? The best ability is availability. And it's a bit cringe to even say that, but he is just a perfect example of that, man. And the thing is as well, when you look at how well our medical team have done with the likes of Levi Colwill coming back from his ACL, Reece James coming back from the reoccurrences of those hamstring injuries, the fact that Romeo Lavia is still so in and out of the team after all this time is a real worry. The other difference with Romeo Lavia is every injury is a different one. It's not always recurrences of the same injury. Like Reece James, it's the hamstring thing. Cole Palmer, it's the groin thing. Levi Colwill obviously is the AC. That's just the one injury he had, but it was a long-lasting one, and he looks great since he's come back. Romeo Lavia, like Levi Colwill has completed 90 minutes this season after an ACL. Romeo Lavia can't even complete 90 minutes because he just keeps getting all these different injuries. So maybe a move to France would be good for him. I'd like to have seen him go to Strasbourg, to be completely honest, because, you know, I would lament letting go of him if we absolutely didn't have to. But the truth of the fact is, we do need to free up some space in the squad. We're not in the Champions League this year, so we're going to have to sell up more players than we bring in because we need to trim the squad down. Otherwise, we're going to start getting some dressing room issues, like the Graham Potter season. Although we had Champions League then, but we had players changing in the changing outside of the changing rooms in the corridors and stuff. It was wild. We need to avoid stuff like that 100%. So, Romeo Lavia. Probably, I mean, I don't know, you know, how we'll have to wait and see what develops, but I imagine that they would probably take 25 mil for Romeo Lavia at this point, and it's, you know, they take the loss on the books, but at the same time it frees up squad cost ratio in order to bring the right players in to improve the squad. Right now we have lots of other midfielders. I think Reece James is probably going to end up being a midfielder as well, and that means we can go out and buy a new shiny right back or right wing back for Xabi Alonso to play a specific style of football. So let me know what you think about it in the comments. I will be sad to see him go because I think Romeo Lavia is great, but it's been 3 years. He can't play 90 minutes. It's probably just time to go, isn't it? We're going to wrap up today's video with this, the Chelsea 26-27 home kit. It's been dropped. It's official. It is the one that I reacted to a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and there was a leak. The leak was the long sleeve version, and I didn't like it. I was very much like, gives me like pajama vibes. I'm not going to lie to you. The short sleeve one is slightly better, but I still don't like it. There's a couple of things that I don't like about it. I don't like the specific yellow colour. It's a little bit too neon for me. Not really a big fan of that. It doesn't look very clean. I absolutely hate the faded Chelsea badge over that's cringe to me, man. I do not like that at all. I think that's where the pajama vibe comes from. For me, it's like, you know, all snuggle up in your Chelsea PJs. Now, I don't know if this is part of the kit, but the other thing I don't like about it in the second picture where he's doing the knee ups, the light blue socks. No, don't like that at all. Royal blue t-shirt, shorts, light blue socks. That's not a vibe for me. So I'm not vibing on this kit at all. Now we'll have to see what happens with the second and the third kits. Maybe that, you know, there'll be a surprise there, and I'll still pick one up this season. But I ain't getting this one. Definitely not. The other thing, maybe it's improved with the right sponsor. Like, you'd be amazed at how much heavy lifting a sponsor can do to make a kit look nice and clean and better. I don't like the IFS.ai one that we've got at the moment, but I did like Infinite Athlete. I didn't even mind the Damac one, you know. The Damac one was kind of clean as well. But something simple in the middle of that might make it look nice. What won't make it look nice is a big, gaudy, horrible gold Club World Cup winners badge like we've had on our nice clean kits all this season, with that specific type of yellow. If they put the gold badge on the middle, that's going to look horrible, absolutely horrible. I don't like the lack of white on it either. There's just like no white, so it's a bit of a weird one with Blueco kits. First kit I liked, second kit didn't like at all. With the orange and the swirls and stuff, I think it was the one that Jackson was wearing in the trophy picture earlier in the video. But then I really liked all of last season's kits, really, really clean, loved them. And the third kit in particular, the black one, chef's kiss, absolutely perfect. Looks like we're back on not liking it. They seem to be flitting back and forth and playing with my emotions, and I'm just not going to like our kits this season, I think. But it is what it is. I'm not going to stop supporting the team. I just probably won't buy the shirt unless the second or third ones are particularly nice. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, guys. Like I say, it's not really for me, but I'd like to know what you think about it either way. Nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap the video up there. So I want to know what you think about everything that I've talked about today. The big piece obviously being Nicolas Jackson. For me, so many permutations of how the team team can play. Jackson, João Pedro, Omega, for me, I'm happy going into next season. Bearing in mind, I don't expect us to challenge for a title. I think that is good enough to get us a good cup run and get us back into the Champions League. Significantly better, even with Omega being an unknown quantity. Already significantly better than what we've currently got with Liam Delap, Mark Gue, Garnacho and Jamie Gittins. Like, Nicolas Jackson is better than all of those players put together. So yeah, for me, just bring him back in. Ibrahima Konate, I'd like to know what you think about it. I understand and I agree the profile of the player is good, and that's the kind of player that we do need to be looking at, but I think it's the minutiae and the nuance of the financial parts of the deal that aren't going to work for the team. I think you're going to really, really put some noses out of joint when you bring a guy in on a big wage when everyone else is just taking a pay cut. Do you know what I mean? So whoever comes in is going to need to go back on these incentive-based contracts and be willing to build themselves up from where they are. I understand that is going to stop us from going out and getting some of the biggest players, but I never really expected us to go out and get the biggest players. That's not even necessarily the jump we need to make. Like, you know, when Xabi Alonso won the league with Bayer Leverkusen, he didn't go out and buy all of the best players. He bought the right players that played his football, bought into his message. Granit Xhaka was not the best player when they bought him. Do you know what I mean? But he's obviously, you know, he was such a huge part of that. Jeremy Frimpong, Grimaldo was a Barcelona reject at that time, and he turned all of these players into absolute monsters. So for me, it's not about going out and getting your Victor Osimhen's and your massive guys. It's about getting the right players to play Xabi Alonso's football. Romeo Lavia, I'll be sad to see him go if he does go, but that just is what it is. But I want to know what you think about it. And finally, the kit. Look, I just don't like it. Maybe that changes with a sponsor. Maybe with the Club World Cup badge, because we have applied to have that on again, I think, although I do not think that's a good idea with this kit in particular. But let me know what you think about the kit too. So that's it, guys. Nice one. I'm going to wrap the video up there. But before I go, if you, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys could give me a little happy birthday in the comments for the Stamford Sink, because we are 1 year old, I would really, really appreciate it. Nice one, guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.